What's up, BlueTube? It's your boy, the Blu-ray Bandit, back once again with another shopping haul. I recently went Blu-ray hunting in New Jersey. I found a ton of great deals. Let's see what I got. First up was this used media store titled Retros in Lawrence, New Jersey. I paid $26.75 for 5 titles, bringing the per title average to $5.35. Let's start with True Romance. This is the director's cut, starring Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette, and directed by the late, great Tony Scott. I love this movie. I always have. I didn't quite know why until I found out that it's written by Quentin Tarantino, which makes total sense to me. It definitely feels like a Quentin Tarantino movie, even though he didn't direct it. It's one of the few that he wrote and did not direct. It's a great 90s indie film kind of, with digital code. This one had it. I'm not sure it's still valid. The expiration date on it was 12/31/2012. But it was an iTunes download, so it might still be active. Who knows? I'm going to give it a shot. Anyway, True Romance, I believe this movie has a 4K release, maybe on Arrow Video. If it's not Arrow, it's some other boutique Blu-ray label. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to afford the 4K version of this unless the studios put out a more mass market version. For now, though, even on Blu-ray, I'm happy to add it to the collection. Next, we've got the Gremlins and Gremlins 2, The New Batch 2-film collection. I love these movies. The first Gremlins, obviously a Christmas classic. Gremlins 2, I think not everybody loves because they kind of changed the tone from Gremlins to Gremlins 2. Gremlins is kind of a straight up family holiday horror movie, whereas Gremlins 2 is, that's just a wacky movie for sure, but I love them both for their own specific special reasons. Joe Dante, definitely an interesting director, directed both of them. He's definitely a guy who made some creative choices on this one. Another sticker. There's the discs. You got Gremlins and Gremlins 2. I actually already own Gremlins on 4K, but Gremlins 2 has not been released on 4K. I'd prefer a standalone package of just Gremlins 2, but I haven't been able to find one out in the wild. I've never seen this collection in local pawn shops in my area. It's worth about $5 on eBay, but I'm adding it to the collection. Next, we have a digibook of Bonnie and Clyde starring Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. I've never actually seen this movie. This is sealed but used, I'm pretty sure. It's actually a little banged up here in the corner, but not too bad. It definitely looks worse than it actually is. Looks like they've still got the J card inside of the packaging. Pretty sure this is just a heat seal, reseal. Let's go ahead and open it up and see. Well, maybe not. This might be the original seal. I can't really tell. Oh well, I've started it. We're opening it. I'm keeping it one way or another. Here we go. There's kind of a J card pasted to the back. Here we go. And yeah, this has the original glue. I don't believe this was a used copy because the original glue is still on it. So there you go. The digibook of Bonnie and Clyde. This is a blind buy for me, meaning that I have never seen this movie. I don't know if it's any good. I do know it's a classic. I've certainly heard of it. It's got very crunchy pages, but crunchy in a way in which they've been sitting inside a package for 10 years. I don't know what's going on with this. It feels used, but all signs point to new for Bonnie and Clyde. It's worth about $10 on eBay. I'm going to give it a watch, decide if I'm going to keep it at that point. For now, it's going on the watch list and on the shelf. And here we have Jade, a classic erotic thriller from the mid-90s directed by William Friedkin and starring David Caruso, Linda Fiorentino, and Chaz Palminteri. I have actually never seen this, but I'm a big fan of William Friedkin. This one is sealed and brand new and also out of print. Jade, brand new, will run you about $30 on eBay. And I haven't quite decided if I'm going to flip it or add it to the collection. Now, there's one title missing from this store, and that's What Happens in Vegas on Blu-ray. And the reason why it's missing is because I was in New Jersey to visit my sister. She went Blu-ray hunting with me, and she wanted the title. So I gave it to her, left it in New Jersey instead of bringing it back to Florida. You're welcome, Amanda. I bought one title at this next store. I don't even remember what it was called, and they didn't give me a receipt, but the title is The Bible. I paid $3 for this The Bible miniseries, the epic miniseries. Slightly dinged up, but pretty cool slipcover. You got lots of images from the miniseries. There's the back, and here's the Blu-ray. I haven't actually seen the miniseries, so this is technically a blind buy for me, but I have the sequel. I think it's called AD or something like that. I haven't watched that either because I wanted to watch this first. Even though it's definitely a faith-based miniseries, I've heard the quality is particularly high, and I'm always down for a good historical epic miniseries. I don't know too much TV on physical media. I find they take up too much space, and you can probably find them on streaming anyway, most likely. But I'll make an exception for miniseries because they basically feel like long movies to me. The Bible added to the collection. Here's another single title purchase. This was from Jack's Music Shop. They sell compact discs, vinyl, and sheet music. Check them out. At Jack's, I found The Nightcombers. Or Nightcomers? Nightcomers. Probably Nightcomers. This movie stars Michael Brandon, and it's directed by Michael Winner. I've never actually heard of this movie before. It's definitely a blind buy for me. I noticed the Kino Lorber logo on it, so I knew this was somewhat of a boutique Blu-ray. I paid $3 for it. It's scanned at 14. It's brand new and sealed, so I'm not sure whether to resell it or break it open and give it a watch. Although I'll probably resell it to help pay for some of the titles I'd rather keep. If you've seen this movie and think I should keep it, please let me know in the comments. Next up, we hit a Goodwill in Ewing, New Jersey. I think that's how you say it. I bought 11 titles at $41, bringing the per title average to $3.72 each. Speaking of boutique Blu-rays, this is Hangmen Also Die from the Cohen Film Collection, which honestly I had never heard of before. By the cover, it's a film by Fritz Lang, part of the Classic American collection. It includes a 1-minute sequence not available in the domestic release. All right. Hopefully that 1 minute was worth it. Yeah, I honestly know nothing about this, but I do know that it's scanned on eBay at roughly $13. So I grabbed it. I'm going to give it a watch, then decide whether I'm keeping it or reselling it to help pay for some other titles from this haul I'd rather keep. Another blind buy. This is What? A film by Roman Polanski. I certainly know the name Roman Polanski. Not a nice guy, but certainly a great director, unfortunately or fortunately. I mean, he's given us some great movies. I just don't personally like some of the things he's done, but we won't get into that right now. I don't know anything about What? But I do know that this is a Severin Films title, another somewhat boutique Blu-ray distributor. Roman Polanski described it as the ribald adventures of an innocent girl. Critics called it an amoral, depraved disaster. All right, can't wait to check this one out. Got some interesting cover art. This scanned at about $9 for resale on eBay. I'm going to give it a watch and decide if I'm going to keep it at that point. Another classic. This one's from the Warner Brothers Archive collection. It's Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, starring Elizabeth Taylor and Paul Newman. This is Maggie the Cat, or would have been, underneath the Goodwill sticker. This is certainly a movie I've heard of, but I'm not sure I've seen. Maybe I have. I think most of this takes place in an apartment, and these two are a couple and they fight for the most part. I don't know. Some of these old films I don't exactly vibe with just because they feel more like glorified stage plays than they do actual movies. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that. I just grew up in a different time when the camera actually moved instead of stayed still on a tripod as the characters moved around in the frame. Yep, I'm pretty sure I've seen this. Maybe I should give it another shot. I probably won't. This scanned for $11 on eBay, and I'm most likely gonna sell it to help pay for some of the other titles in this haul that I plan on keeping. This is The Tie That Bonds, an erotic thriller from the mid-90s starring Daryl Hannah, Keith Carradine, Moira Kelly, and Vincent Spano. Another thriller from the producer of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Now, that's a movie I've seen. I have not seen The Tie That Binds. Another blind buy for me. One couple has found happiness, another's coming for what they've left behind. All right, I'm interested in checking it out. It runs a nice tight 99 minutes, so it's not too much of an investment. Unfortunately, this only scans at about $2. After a first time watch, even if I don't enjoy it, I'm probably not going to get my money back on it, but that's okay. You can't always win them all. Speaking of winning, we've got Evita starring Madonna and Antonio Banderas. This is the 15th anniversary edition, winner of Best Picture from the Golden Globes, if that matters to you. This title is out of print, but not all that particularly valuable. It scans at about $10 on eBay. Definitely more than what your average Blu-ray is worth, for sure. But nothing too crazy. I've never actually seen this movie, so I'm excited to check it out. I've heard good things. Added to the shelf and the watch list. Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials, another movie that is worth about $2 on eBay. With shipping, you'd pay roughly $6, so I still got it for a deal. This one with perfect slipcover. I've never actually seen the Maze Runner movies, but they've come recommended. How many were there? 2, 3, 4? I don't even know. But I definitely want to check it out. Oh, we got a loose disc here. This is one of those double stacking discs, but it doesn't seem to actually click in here. Evidently, it comes with an exclusive comic book and, with digital code. And also, I'm very confused by this. So I thought this was a double stacking Blu-ray that just wasn't clicked in, but I can't seem to get it clicked in. So if you remove the comic book, this exclusive comic book that comes with Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials, you see the DVD here. Here's the Blu-ray, and there's the DVD, and there's the DVD, and there's the DVD. I guess this came with 2 DVDs and the Blu-ray. I'm not seeing any difference between these 2 DVDs. So I don't know if this actually came like this, or if somebody put an extra copy of Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials inside the case, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that? Maybe it's just a manufacturing error. Regardless, I'm going to remove the extra DVD, pop in the Blu-ray, replace the comic book, close the case, put it back in the slipcover, and add it to my shelf. Operation Petticoat, starring Cary Grant and Tony Curtis, once nominated for an Academy Award for writing, story, and screen written directly for the screen. See, this is what I'm talking about. Even back then, they knew the difference between a film that was adapted from a stage play and a movie that was written directly for the screen. They didn't like the stage play presentation either. Yeah, I've certainly heard of this movie, but never seen it. I think it might even be a musical, which typically isn't quite my thing. This is the not rated version. I think this was before they even rated movies, so it's not like I think it's particularly salacious or anything like that. I think they just never gave it a rating. This title is out of print and scanned for about $10 used on eBay. I'm probably going to resell it to help pay for some of the titles that I plan on keeping. Red Planet, starring Val Kilmer, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Tom Sizemore. This is a sci-fi movie from the early 2000s. I don't remember exactly what year. Around that time, a bunch of sci-fi movies centered around Mars came out. This was one of them. Pretty sure this was critically panned when it originally came out. I have vague memories of seeing it in the movie theater and enjoying it. I have a pretty high threshold for bad sci-fi, though. I mean, I can recognize bad sci-fi, but I'll still watch it for sure. Red Planet scanned for about $7 on eBay. For now, adding it to the collection, but it's nice to know if I ever wanted to resell it, it does hold value. Red Tails, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. and Terrence Howard. This movie tells the story of the first African-American combat union to serve in World War II. It's also a movie that is famously produced by George Lucas, one of the few non-Star Wars movies produced by George Lucas, especially post the prequel trilogy. This might even be the only film that George Lucas has produced since the Star Wars trilogy. It's also a movie he was rumored to want to direct at one point. Unfortunately, it's not a particularly great war film. I remember seeing it in theaters and having high hopes because of the Lucas name. It was fine. I don't really have an issue with it. It's just nothing special in the end, unfortunately. It also doesn't fetch much on the resale market, roughly $2, but it's got Lucas's name on it, so I'll need to add it to my collection. Next up, we've got Contact, new and sealed, originally $5.99, probably in a Walmart bin. I like this movie quite a bit. Stars Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. Pretty early role for Matthew McConaughey. And directed by Robert Zemeckis, who also directed Forrest Gump, amongst others. Well, it's got 3 commentaries on it. Remember when standard Blu-rays actually had commentaries? Those were the days, for sure. This is a pretty hard sci-fi movie. It's pretty slow moving, but a really good drama with awesome sci-fi tinges. It's really only worth about $2 on the resale market, but I bought it to add to the collection. And finally, for this Goodwill, we've got Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Written and directed by Steven Soderbergh. Pretty sure this isn't his first film, but it was his breakout movie, for sure. I've never actually seen it, so this is technically a blind buy for me. I know it's an erotic thriller. This, along with movies like Reservoir Dogs, helped build the 90s independent movie scene. It's a classic from that time period. I'm trying to collect all of Steven Soderbergh's movies. This is definitely one of them. I can't wait to give it a watch and add it to my collection of his filmography. Our final store was the Princeton Record Exchange, which is in Princeton, New Jersey, right outside of the famed Princeton University. It's a secondhand media shop. They sell records and movies and CDs, etc., etc. At the exchange, I bought 7 titles at a total of $61.82. That's $8.83 per title, well above what I would pay normally for used Blu-rays or 4Ks. At that per title average, they'd have to be pretty special. Let's see what I got. First up is Once Upon a Time in America. Now, we've talked about this title before on this channel. This movie is long out of print. There's 3 or 4 different versions of it, and all of them are worth money. This one seems to be worth the least. But still, I paid $8 for this, and it scans at about $23 for resale. It's a great gangster crime drama. If you like movies like The Godfather, you should definitely check out Once Upon a Time in America. I think it's a little forgotten to time, but I mean, check out this cast. You got Robert De Niro, James Woods, Joe Pesci, music by Ennio Morricone, and directed by Sergio Leone. It's awesome, and you should definitely check it out. I've resold the other versions of this film that I found in the wild because it was just hard to keep them. They're so out of print, they're worth so much. This one, I think I'm going to keep for myself. Or should I resell it and use the profit to pay for titles I'd rather keep? Nope. For now, I'm keeping this, adding it to the collection. And finally, for this New Jersey haul, we've got Columbia Classics Volume 2. I paid roughly $50 for this collection. It regularly sells on eBay used for about $120. Everything is here except for the digital codes. You got all 6 movies: The Social Network, Sense and Sensibility, Stripes, Anatomy of a Murder, Oliver, and of course the big one, Taxi Driver. It also comes with this neat book. Lots of cool info on the films in the set, and also a little disc over here. What is this? What is this? This is the bonus disc. Got a Blu-ray logo on that, so I doubt it's 4K. $50 was an absolute killer price for this set. I loved it. It made the whole hunt worth it. Definitely keeping for the collection. All right, there we have it. The full haul. Columbia Classics Volume 2. A bunch of classics and boutique Blu-rays, Steven Soderbergh's first movie, a digibook, a valuable out-of-print William Friedkin erotic thriller. This haul had everything. 25 titles. I paid $135.56. That's a per title average of $5.40 each, and an estimated value of $295. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps me out a lot. You're an actor. Act, mother. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.